Hello. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much to coming. It's starting well. Thank you so much for coming tonight to our event, Anatomy of an Album. We'd like to thank SAE for having us partner with us for this event. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we're meeting on tonight, the Yagara and Turrbal people, and pay respects to their ancestors past, present and emerging. This is a great event. We're so pleased to be able to bring this to you tonight. This has been part of a series that has happened throughout all of the states through APRA AMCOS. We've been doing different events focusing on the album, how it's recorded through the demo stage through to the mastering. It's been a great success, and this is the last one of the event, so we're super happy to be able to have Sam Cromack from Ballpark Music with us tonight. He's going to be going through a couple of songs off the latest album and talking about the process as a songwriter and also a producer. And talking with him tonight is Seja, who's also a musician and she's also a podcaster. The next time you come here will be to see her and me interviewing her. We hope. So again, what's happening tonight, we're filming. If you are not comfortable with that, you can move over to this side of the room. You don't need to sign any waiver or anything because we're only going to see the back of your head. Unless you want to jump up and come over to this side and wave, but it's not your big chance to do that tonight. Thank you again for coming. Hope you enjoy tonight. We have drinks and snacks out the front, as you've seen, and we will hand over to Seja. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I'm very excited to talk to my dear friend Sam about music, which is pretty much what we do. That's what our friendship is. So this is just a carry on from our normal vibe. But tonight we're going to be talking about some songs off Ballpark Music's 7th album, Weirder and Weirder, which came out in May last year. We're going to try and get through 3 songs. So excuse us if we're hurrying along a bit. Hopefully it won't feel hurried, but we're going to try and get through a lot so you can see 3 very different songs and their conceptions. So I just wanted to start with a really overarching question about the record. Something that I noticed when I was listening to the record. So my good friend Jen, who's here tonight too, plays bass in the band. She played me the record, just before it came out, and I remember my first thought when I was listening to it was, this is such a unique record by a band that, is obviously massive in Australia, and you're making some really interesting decisions that I don't think you need to make when you're at this point in your career. And by that I mean, there's some really crazy experimentation on this record. There's some really interesting mixing choices. I was wondering if you could just talk to that for a minute.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I often find myself saying that us in the band are the first to lose perspective of how anything fits into what we've done previously or where we're going. A lot of it for us is just following our intuition, and I feel like it actually took making several records before you get the courage to just trust yourself and not descend into long protracted conversations about what are we doing on this record, but rather just enjoy it as music making, pure and simple.
Yeah.
Often it's not until I might speak to someone like you or anyone else who's heard it and they'll be like, oh, this is cool, or this was good, or whatever, that you're like, oh, cool, that's good.
Very insightful. Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, cool. No, but it is really cool because, and as you guys will see tonight, there's a lot of really interesting tricks that we can go through that's made this album really interesting. So I thought the first song that we're going to talk about tonight is a song called Riding Hand. Can you tell us a little bit about this song's inspiration before we get into listening to some demos and going through the sesh?
Yeah, this song was written in or during COVID. So yeah, I would have written it in 2020, I think, when we were looking back through the demos. I remember it just being like a pretty bleak time. I was saying to you, like, with the middle of COVID, I also had like a 1-year-old who was sleeping really bad, so it was like a bit of a bleak time. And I was saying to you, it was a song I wrote where I didn't actually really even envision like much of a future for the song. Like, normally I might write and think like, wow, I can't wait to do this with the band and hopefully release it and tour it and get to enjoy its natural life. But yeah, this one was written in a bit of a like darker moment where you're just like, boo-hoo.
Do you think it was a bit of therapy? Do you write songs for therapy?
That's a big question. I don't know.
I mean, obviously, I feel like us as songwriters, we do it because we need to. Like, there's a compulsion, and I think that actually does help in a way. Like, just the act of songwriting. It's great that you were still writing even in this really grim time.
Yeah, the word compulsion is good, and I use that word a lot. It is at this point well and truly a part of who I am, and a compulsion. Like, it can't be turned off. It's just part of how I deal with life. Yeah, is to make music. So yeah, maybe it is part of my therapy.
I reckon it is, man.
Yeah.
I reckon it is.
It's not fixing me very well. But I like going to the sessions.
Well, I was in this song. I was hearing, writer's block. I was hearing, I don't know. I was wondering when I was listening to it if it was one of those songs that you thought about, like, oh, I'm having writer's block, I'm just going to try and write something, or if it was one of those moments that I think a lot of songwriters have, where you just sit down with your instrument and it just sort of falls out of your brain. Do you remember which one it was, where you consciously were making a decision, or did it just go?
I think it probably was during if we want to call it that, like a period of writer's block. I also remember thinking, like, during the lockdowns, that like feeling a bit jealous of some of my friends who are like, cool, I'm going to make this record I've been dreaming about making, or I'm going to learn to make sourdough or whatever. And I just felt like we would just run off our feet looking after a little kid, which takes up the whole day. I must sound so resentful right now, but like I just remember being a bit jealous. I was like, I would have loved to have done some creative pursuit, and it's not possible right now. So I think the combination of all those things definitely led to just stumbling upon that lyric. I heard they cut off your writing hand, which was just like, I don't know where that came from, but felt like provocative enough to start a song around.
Well, I would love to hear, and I'm sure everyone would love to hear, we've got a couple of audio clips from the construction, the first thoughts of this song. So this first recording we're going to play is a little bit of your first demo on acoustic guitar. So this is just, you were saying this is like the time where you were just getting it down so you didn't forget it.
Yeah, I'll jump ahead a bit. I definitely noodle on the riff for a long time before I jump into
Everyone loves the noodle.
My space language.
beautiful.
Yeah, it goes
So
on.
beautiful. I know a lot of artists do this when they start writing a song where they just start singing. I think Jeff Tweedy from Wilco calls it a mumble track where you just start, I think you called it space talk.
Yeah, my friend Lewis calls it space language, which I think's really catchy.
So you're just making sounds.
Yeah, I had some real proper English words there.
Yeah, I
which was
noticed.
a bonus. Yeah, I must have scratched something down. But yeah, most of them is definitely space language, which can surprisingly reveal something about yourself.
Yeah, I thought I heard you go, my nose.
Yeah, well, yeah. I do have a big nose. I look at it all day. Yeah.
So going from that demo to then thinking about it further in a band context, what conversations do you have before you show the band or before you start playing it with other people?
Yeah, well, it's never the same, It's really, every song goes on its own unique journey. For sake of ease, I'll just stick to what happened here. The next demo I have, and I can actually remember this. We'd finished rehearsing for some shows or something, and I had been working on the song at home, and Dan and Jen were still set up. So I said, Daniel, could you just play a beat for me at this tempo and quickly teach Jen the chords, and she learns very fast, so that's easy. And then we kind of just play it. And I said, it mostly just does one thing over and over. And so we have a demo of us just kind of playing through it with pretty much no preparation, just recorded on the iPhone. Yeah, etc., etc. Oh, you go.
Oh no, you go.
I don't know what I was going to say.
Yeah, I also lost my train of thought.
I was just going to quickly skip ahead, see if we actually did to really develop it beyond that. Okay, looks like we did. I think a lot of our songs just go from small to big. I think that's a lot of it is because we'll play it and it's just let's just get bigger.
Get louder. Yeah. No, that's so cool. And is this hell playing this to an audience, or are you feeling okay about it?
I'm comfortable with this shit these days.
Good.
Yeah.
Last night we got together just to do a little bit of prep for you guys, and we spent quite a bit of time just playing each other voice memos from our phones. And then we're like, no, focus, we've got to get this done. But a lot of them were just really silly things that, and sometimes you would never play them to anyone except for very close friends. So we appreciate you sharing all this stuff. I know it's, it's very personal and it's a real, it's a vulnerability playing stuff that's not finished. So we appreciate that. So the next, we've got quite a few demos for this one, which is amazing because, quite often you either have one demo and then you start recording the record, but you had a real progression with this song. So you've got this this track with with Dan and Jen, and then you've got another demo which is actually in Logic. Or was recorded in Logic, which has got a bit more stuff in it.
Yeah, so I think Daniel, our drummer, again made this. I think him, Dean, and I made this. in the studio, because I feel like I can spot Dean's voice singing in there. I think the three of us made it. I can't remember when. I think before sort of like, officially starting the last album, we just had like, because we've got our own space to work, like sometimes, things just happen there. It doesn't have to be part of anything. And later you're like, that's cool, I might jump into the middle, just...
This is sounding a lot more like the recorded version.
Yeah, it's big time. Yeah. Yeah, etc. But like that's common for us, I think, to maybe do a demo that's like nearly at like, record quality and like still exploring a lot, and a lot of the ideas that are in it will be like, let's carry those over into the
proper sesh.
Yeah, the on the day version.
Yeah. And what conversations did you have before we show the session for the final track? Did you actually have any conversations before you tracked it? Like you were saying you carried stuff over. So there's obviously a string motif already happening in this demo. Did you start thinking about, maybe we should have real strings or...
I think this one would have been done like, and this is common, like Daniel, Dean and myself just would have been at the studio. We would have Dean and I would have grabbed either bass or guitar, Daniel played drums, and we would have just sketched out the song in a real like traditional rock band kind of way. And then probably put it like a rough vocal on it. And then from there just be like, what can you hear sort of thing. Just start playing, adding strings and stuff like that. And then like a lot of stepping to the final version is like just about inclusion, like it's got to be something for that all five of us have crafted,
And do you often take stuff out?
Yeah. Again, there's no rules. Like, I think if we're working on something, like, someone sometimes might be like, let's strip it back, or we do like a lot of just like kind of silly buggers stuff in the studio too, like just muting whole sections, or a common one we do, which we learned from Matt Redlick, is to like just pitch shift the song, like the whole song, like way down or up, and like, it always gives you a laugh, but then sometimes you're like, now I'm getting ideas, you know, like.
Yeah, that's great. And this is the stuff I was talking about when I was saying there's a lot of experimentation going on, because to be honest, like I can't imagine a lot of bands like, I can't imagine Foo Fighters going, we're going to track this at, like in D, but actually it's going to end up in C. Anyway, let's look at the session, and sorry about that for Foo Fighters comment. They might do that. I really don't know. Talking about Foo Fighters like I'm some kind of expert. I'm really not. So this is, the first thing I noticed when I looked at your session is very neat, color-coded. This is also how I color-code my sessions. It's always in a rainbow formation. You didn't go to a Steiner school, did you?
No.
I did. So the first thing I noticed was it's minimal.
Yeah.
Is that something that just happens, or do you cut a lot of stuff out?
No, I wouldn't say there's like ever any huge like cutting back process. I would say I just prefer to have minimal sessions. Computers like it better when there's less to do with. I feel like that's a good enough lesson in itself. Like, the device is trying to say, fuck you, man, like less shit, please, God. And I think too, a big part of that, again, I keep referring to our friend Matt Redlick, who's produced 3 of the Ballpark albums, including the first 2, which were done mostly to tape. So, and that was like such an enjoyable experience for us. And I think that headspace never left us. Like we literally had 16 tracks to work with, like, and on many songs we'd be like, Matt, can we add this? And he's like,
no.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You've run out. Like, it's either going to have to share a track with something that's already there, or something's going to have to go, or we can dump it all on the computer, which we kind of got a bit like, no, we're not doing that. We don't need to do that. So, but, you know, again, like sometimes there's wisdom in the device. I feel like it was its way of saying you don't need more shit. Like, there's plenty of space here. Just work with what's there, you know?
So how many tracks have you got on this one?
Well, I mean, that's going to sound hypocritical. I mean, there's 83 tracks, but...
super minimal.
But, you know, a lot of those are actually not getting used, and a lot of it is just like routing to have buses and stuff like that. I didn't always have neat sessions like this. I was well into the audio journey before I was like, all right, fine, maybe these people know what they're doing.
So can we talk about the guitar first? So we'll try and do this quickly this session, but so when I did like a little exercise at home where I was listening to these 3 songs and I just wrote down what I could hear. And, you know, some of it was right when I was asking Sam about it last night, but some of it was also like, oh no, that just sounds like that because we did this trick. So the first thing that I noticed was I wrote down that the nylon string guitar sounded really boomy. So I was wondering if it was recorded over the sound hole, to which you responded it actually wasn't a nylon string guitar at all. So can you talk us through what you did to make that guitar sound?
Sure, yes. Yeah, so we're just talking about like the acoustic guitars, which are double tracked. Lots and lots of double tracking in ballpark music. And I don't know who plays what. Dean and I tend to just share everything. And then when it's time to go on tour, we go and figure out who's going to do what.
So this is a clean...
Yeah, that's it, just going straight into the mic. But, I was saying to you, it sounds kind of nylon-y because this trick I love that I learned from Blake Mills, another really good guitar player producer, is like weaving a bit of paper or cardboard like between all the strings, and you can kind of slide it either right back to your bridge or like towards the sound hole to like muffle it even more.
Yeah, that's wild.
It just sounds like
crazy.
So nice and like, I don't know, just a bit.
It sounds so beautiful. And then with all the effects on it, it really sounds very special.
And then 2 of them, pans either side.
Yeah, that's lovely. The other thing that I noticed was obviously the vocals. The vocal effects on this song are very ethereal, and you know, I wrote down it sounded like the reverb was louder than the actual tracked vocal. And you were saying, can you just talk a little bit about how you recorded the vocal and why it sounds the way it does?
Yeah, so making this record, I actually just bought like a little mixing console at a garage sale for $60. I think it's got like maybe 16 channels, just with 2 outputs, nothing fancy. It's completely analog though, and it does have a nice sound. So I was mostly running instruments through it, just to have a different experience and see if anything cool happened. It had an auxiliary send, so we patched in just literally a reverb pedal, like a guitar pedal with some reverb on it, and did vocals like through that with the reverb just all coming in at the same time. Here's some of the vocal. And smoke, and no one knows. And I'm afraid that there'll be no change to things. And the compressor is just like, that's loud. Yeah, with the reverb in the which is kind of a no-no, even though there's no such thing as a no-no. I said no a lot. Having like the compressor, something you'd pretty much always have on a vocal, like with the reverb there, is just like every time there's a gap, the reverb's just like filling up the space.
That sounds so
and then when
nice.
you do sing, it kind of weirdly gets out of the way.
Yeah.
Just however we had it. Route.
So
It's just chance, and we're just like, that sounds cool. Let's do that.
Yeah. So the reverb is actually on the track. It's not.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not post.
Yeah. So if I turn all the plugs off and just play that vocal by itself, that's the reverb.
Exactly the same.
Which I could never actually really hit those notes. I kind of just went for it, and
sounds so
Jen
good.
is helping me massively to make it not sound.
Yeah,
so
let's listen to let's listen to all the vocals together.
Yeah, let's do that.
The same.
Piano in there too. Don't know why. Just singing in unison.
Exactly the same.
And it's very clippy, like it's distorted.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's meant to be there.
Yeah, I've just gotten used to. That's part of my style.
Just fuck it. Clip it.
Yeah, I feel like I get the gain for stuff, and I'm like, all right, that's good. And then we start recording the song, and they just like all blow out, and I'm like, oh
well.
Yeah, use your ears, just your ears. If they like it, just keep going.
Yeah, I'm like, the line is at the top of the wave.
Yeah.
It must be louder, not louder, quieter. Okay, so
our mix engineer, he's the one we've used for the last 3 records. He's done 3 now. And after the first one he did for us, he did send me a message saying like, can't wait for the next one. Hopefully a few less red lights on the next one. I was like, all right.
yeah, I'm so allergic to red lights. I really am.
Sometimes that's where the best sounds are,
Yeah. Yeah, I know lots of people that love a red light, but I'm like, I'm a chicken. But that, it definitely sounds like it's meant to be there. So something that is not part of your red light bonanza are the strings that Emma Kelly or Happy Axe arranged.
Yeah.
And you were saying this is like part of one of your favourite bits on the record, the string mix.
Big time.
Can we listen to that?
Of course.
Bus?
Yeah, so this is, as Seja said, our new friend Emma, she lives in Melbourne. She had played on some friends' things, and we thought we were really impressed. So we sent her some songs from our new record and literally told her, like, just do whatever you want and we'll work from there,
Oh, that's
no
so great.
scores, no instructions, and she's just great.
Imagine if you hated it.
Yeah, well, we didn't.
So lucky. No, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
And it's just her. She just literally tracks all those layers in her bedroom
Amazing.
and all on violin too, like just pitch shifts like some to get some cello vibes.
Oh, amazing. Well, this song is just so beautiful. It's one of my favourites on the album. I'd probably say that about every song, but honestly, it's so lovely. We're going to move on to the next song. So this was, I would say, the hit off the record. We're going to talk about Stars in My Eyes. Hold for applause. And we've got some really awesome audio clips of this one as well. So we'll just play a little bit of the first one we've got is the Stars in My Eyes demo, which has a different chorus.
Yeah, so it started as a completely different song, like that had the same verses and like really similar chords, like blah, blah, blah. It was this song called Still Interested, which we were working on, and we actually performed it once, but I don't know, we're never sure what was... It had a shitty chorus, I think.
Still interested in what?
Well, I don't know. Not this song, you know. Anyway, I'll play a bit.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There was a place that I used to go. There was a girl that I loved to live there. This was a long time ago. I don't want for much these days. I've flown along on a steady wave. I've got a long way to go. I think I'm still in the days. Are you? Yeah, I'm still interested. Are you? There was a face.
Yeah, so we liked bits of it. We thought the verses were really cool, and we liked the sort of ELO kind of thing. And but oh my God, we did our heads in trying to get it right. And we nearly gave up on the song, full stop.
Meanwhile, still better than any chorus that anyone else has written in the...
I don't
Still
know
very
about that.
good.
Yeah. But yeah, just as we were ready, like the record was like getting really close to finish, and we just couldn't figure it out. And I mean, just thank God, like got a good chorus all of a sudden. I think this sketch here is me just same chords. I think we just started looping the chorus chords and just seeing what we could find.
Oh, I can hear it running on.
There's Jen. Which I just happened to, capture that bit and was like, that's something, that
Yeah.
ascending melody.
Yeah, very Beatles.
Yeah, also reminded me of that song. I don't know if it has any similarity to it, but reminds me of What If God Was One of Us? Or just like...
I heard that in
just
office
that
works
kind of
today.
like 90s rock ballad sort of thing, you know, which I obviously love that style. And
Surprising influence.
yes, I love that song.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah. What if he was one of us?
It's she, actually.
It's not my bad. Excuse me. And that progressed to this, me finally getting a chorus.
Making you wait. I've got a long way to go. It's making me want stars in my eyes to wrap me in blankets, plan a surprise, and tell me that I still have stars in my eyes. There was a fate.
It's another bit of a sad song.
Yeah, definitely. It does have a pretty sad sounding chorus.
Well, when I listen to this song, I feel like it's, it might be, the way that I read it is, it's maybe getting more cynical as you get older. You're looking back at the past. Can you tell me a little bit about writing the words of this song? Because I know we've spoken about trying to be a little bit more, less poetic and more plain language in our writing. Is this something that happened during this song?
Yeah, so it's kind of unique, this one. I don't know if I've had a song that's had like a similar journey where the verses, like that we heard in that other demo there, that's Still Interested, had them for like over a year, and just wrote them really quickly. And with that kind of Elton John piano as the starting point, it just was fun. Looking backwards, there was a place that I used to go, there was a face, just very nostalgic. And yeah, having like a whole year trying to nut out like the proper chorus for it. Like I was saying to you last night, I finally did just be like, what is this fucking song about? And just kind of ask yourself, and then the chorus just like came so quickly after that. And yeah, I guess it is like reflecting on, especially that time in my life, I think of like my early 20s kinds of things where you really do have like stars in your eyes. You're so hopeful about the future, and exactly like the chorus asks, I was just looking back, especially emerging out of COVID and stuff, just being like, what was that? Was that real? Like, did I have real hope? Like, is there any of that left? Like, do you get to have some more of that, or like, what's the deal? Like,
yeah.
And I like keeping things as a question, so it's like up for debate. It's not like, there's no hope left. It's more like something that you're asking with the audience and yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so relatable, because I think a lot of us think back a lot about our past and, romanticize that period of our lives where we were young before everything turned to shit. Just joking. I promised Kelly I wouldn't swear too much, so I'm doing my best. Right. And so I was going to say, I recently, before we look at the session, we did a show together where we played each other's songs. And while we were doing that, you were saying that you were having trouble picking a song because your songs are quite complex. And since then, I think I've listened to this album through a different lens and realised there is actually a lot going on structurally in your songs. And I just wanted to ask you about that, whether you have that feeling when you're writing, like I need to chuck in like a tricky seventh here, or I need to, make it less boring, or if you buy into that thing, that production trick where something new has to happen every 8 bars to keep it interesting. Do you have those thoughts while you're writing?
I think so, yeah. And there's definitely just a general bit of ADHD in our band. Like our version of what we think is like straightforward still has like a few hurdles to get over. It's just how we operate. So, I don't think the songs are necessarily like the most complex things ever, but there's always like some little difficult thing. Like,
for sure,
there's one section with some annoying chords, or like, just some bullshit.
But it's so great, because I feel like the best songwriters actually have that in their work where, it sounds like an easy song, and then there's something that really makes you stumble when you're trying to play it, which I find so interesting,
Yeah, but when it's like your go-to approach, like I start to play like a really simple, strong song by somebody else, and you see like there's a different kind of courage in just keeping it so simple, and try and learn from that. Like we did, obviously, you know, everyone's grown up probably hearing Paul Kelly, and we did some shows with him and watching him just being like, God damn it, it's so simple. I guess for a writer like him, it's much more about the storytelling.
Yeah.
And I don't know, try to remember that. Like if the song is starting to weigh more heavily into the story, then you probably can afford to like screw around less with the music.
Yeah, for sure.
And vice versa.
Yeah. So we're going to look at the session for a quick minute. Let's have a look at what are some things that stand out for you during the recording of this song?
Let me think. It's a peculiar like arrangement, I guess. It's very minimal to get started, just guitar and vocals kicking it off, which is like pretty simple. I guess it's really like layering as it goes, getting bigger and bigger. And then there were so many elements of that recording that was called Still Interested that I played that we did love, including the big kind of Elton John like piano break. We knew we didn't want to cut that. We wanted it to work towards that.
Can you talk me through this track that you've named Wurst, which means sausage in German? Tell me about that.
Well, sadly, Seja, I have not actually made a verse recording in this one. It's part of my drum template. I nicked this idea from an engineer whose name I can't recall now, a German engineer, who always had one drum track called his Wurst, his sausage, which he called it that because after he'd finished like processing it, it just always looked like a sausage. Like it was just like completely limited to or whatever. Like there's no life left in it. But it was just his flavor track, you know, like just permitting yourself to have one track on the drums that's all about flavor, you know. It doesn't have a job. It's not
like an extra room mic or something. Or
yeah, because I'm not really big on room mics. We work in a small room, so I don't know. I just pretty much can never be bothered to set room mics up.
So what's your normal Wurst?
I guess my normal Wurst... Make me stop saying it, so please.
Tell me about the Wurst.
I would put probably just like a condenser mic like right in the middle of the kit, like above the kick drum, like just right near the drummer's like knee, the knee on the kick drum. Just to capture a bit of everything. It's going to get heaps of snare there. It's probably going to catch a bit of the awesome low end from the kick, which I'm not always interested in getting with my actual kick mic. And it will also get heaps of like toms, like because I also often, even though I have in this song, don't mic up the toms. And as always, my friend says cymbals and hi-hats are like sand. They just get in everything.
Yeah, they do.
So... yeah, no, just it's the furthest away from them, like, but still part of the action.
Yeah, cool.
So it's a good spot. And
yeah.
That's where my verse normally goes. my sausage friend.
It's enough about your Wurst. So something that I noticed in this track was the really awesome fuzz bass. And can you tell me, so this is something that's double tracked. There's bass and there's double bass.
There's bass and there's bass.
Bass and bass.
So Jen's playing bass and Dean's also playing bass. I'll put some drums in too just to give a bit of shape. Here's Jen's bass line, which is like pretty standard bass player action. And then Dean's like strumming the chords to the song on another bass.
Sounds so great.
It's
no one ever strums a bass.
It's such a good sound.
So
that's like
good.
on a Hofner bass, and you can like take a bunch of low end out because obviously Jen's got that job. And at the end of the song too, like same thing. My guitar stops. I don't play in the end of the song at all.
Great.
It's just a lot of that, and then.
Oh yeah, show me the piano tracks on this song because you have a really interesting production technique on this piano.
Yeah, so again with the like just mucking around with pitch. Every song we ever do, like we put the pitch up and down just to see if there's any magic waiting for you.
And there always is.
Yeah, often there is. And in doing that, we'd kind of realize how good pianos sound, like recorded and then pitched up, like to get that real jangly 70s kind of upright sort of sound. So we've got double track piano panned hard left and right. Oops. It's my first day.
So they're pitched. You recorded them at a different.
Yeah, so Paul actually, if I turn this pitch plug in, which is literally just changing the pitch off, Paul played it in 2 different keys. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but we just pitched him to the right key.
That's great. And it makes it sound
He was pretty
lot more
cross with me at the end
Was
of
he?
the session.
to go, play it in D, play it in F.
But he's capable of that shit. It's
Yeah,
fun to push him. And
he's
then-
a amazing keyboard player. Sick. That makes it sound really honky tonk. It sounds really cool.
Yes, which he lives for that sound. Like,
Yeah.
it's getting a good result. Yeah.
Yeah, great. What an interesting production technique to just pitch shift. And how annoying for everyone trying to play it.
Well, I guess I should refer to Matt again, because when we
Yeah.
were working with tape, he would always slow and speed up the tape machine, which sounds even better. It's more organic and analog. It's just unreal to hear in the studio. And then that's where we're like, oh, we should play with this. So he would get us to track songs in lower keys and slower, and then we'd like wind them up until we're like, it's cool there. Let's finish the song there.
That's a very Beatlesy thing to do as well, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
So just flying through this, I just really because I have such a fondness of the SH101 synthesizer. There's a really great SH101 synth track on this, which you said you put through a tape machine. Can you solo that just for a sec, just for me?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, the 101's just a classic mono synth by Roland, which Seja loves, and we were lucky enough to have one as well. And it's our secret weapon, just to get, a special layer. And this is it. I don't know what setting it's on. I think with a lot of glide or something, and Paul's just playing very messily, like on purpose, just so we get a lot of like sliding up and down the scale action, and back through the tape machine just to get lots of distortion. But it's a big kind of part of the track. It's sick. Oops, where does it start?
Great.
Let me give it some context.
So great. I love that.
We got obsessed with that sound. We used it on a lot of different songs. We called it the emotional synth. It sounded like I was crying,
I love it. Sounds happy to me. And then one final thing in this song, which is the cutest thing I've ever heard, is your daughter Enid does some counting in this song, and you have the original audio of you and your wife trying to teach her how to count.
Maybe I'll put it in context first. Where does it start? It's just here. Again, just Beatles action, they're always, I'm just obsessed with all their 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just,
Ein, zwei, drei,
I
vier.
always have to do it. Oh, what am I looking for?
Enid.
Yeah.
We go like 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you do it by yourself?
No.
Go on.
3, 4.
1, 2,
2,
3,
3, 4, 5. Go.
You go again.
One.
Easy turn.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And can you touch
girl.
the sky as you do it?
She kept smacking the bed. We're trying to.
2, 3, 4, 5.
And again from 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Very good.
And you do one where we don't smack the bed.
Yeah, we're working on turning her into a child star. She'll be crook before you know it.
I love it. Can you touch the sky while you're doing it?
Yeah.
It's so cute. Well, yeah, that song had a real journey, and I feel like it was very much sort of fly by the seat of your pants. Like it's building up, like you said, from demo through to recording it as a band and making decisions as a band and experimentation. I think this is one of the songs I was talking about that's you can really hear the experimentation in it. You know, there's a lot of tracks, there's a lot going on. And then the next song that we're going to talk about is a completely different origin story. So I think we've got a few minutes to talk about this one. It's really interesting because this one, you said, was very much a jam session with the band. It was very much written in the studio, and it was built up while you were writing it. Can you talk a little bit about the origin of this one?
Yeah, so this one actually has its origins in the exact same song that Stars in My Eyes has its origins in this Still Interested song. On our perilous journey towards figuring that song out, we just tried everything, and at one stage we had the drums pitched way up and started playing with this instrument that a friend lent us. It's made by Boss. It's called the Boss Percussion Synthesizer. It's like predates the SPD. It's like almost like one SPD pad, that literally just goes boo, like very specific use. But you can kind of fiddle with it, and we just where'd it go? We made this, and I just like kind of bounced it and was like, save that for later. That we were all just vibing it. So yeah, that's literally just drums and that one instrument. Like that's its lowest note you can push it down to.
The
it's
drone.
like a D, yeah. And I was like, oh, that's just asking for like a drop D riff, you know.
So yeah, let's look at the session. So with this one, one of the first things I wrote down when I was listening to it, it does actually sound. I immediately said it sounded like a drop D, with like playing the notes on your G string. Which made it sound as though it was a bit Middle Eastern, and I, in my mind, I was like, oh, that riff just kind of sounds a bit like The Cure's Wish, which is an album I was a big fan of when I was a teenager. You don't often do this kind of chord progression. You don't often do this like sort of Middle Eastern, almost microtonal kind of vibe.
Yeah, well, like before making the album, I'm always listening to the Beatles songs like Tomorrow Never Knows and like lots of like George's like, Indian like inspired stuff. So obviously got the drone influence, and I was listening to heaps of like Velvet Underground too, which is also like got heaps and heaps of drone and just the big heroin vibes, and I was pretty obsessed with that. So to like suddenly be like, oh, I got to kind of make a riff for this thing. And it's funny too, like even though we don't have many songs like that, like that's almost like a jamming staple, like when you are just mucking around, like to just have one note that you can't get lost and you can jam on it forever. So we've kind of always done a bit of that, and some of our other songs have hinted at it, but it was fun to finally, work on one. So the guitar riff came next, and we were just so into how that sounded by itself, which is, let me get that. ended up being like, it was like that classic point working on an album where we're just like bored of the routine and just have to like, let's just have a weird day. Let's make a weird song together. And that's what this song was. We had a really fun day. It just felt like, you know, really open for anyone to like jump in, and it was really collaborative and just silly.
It sounds really funny, and I mean it sounds fun, but there's bits of it that sound funny, you know, when you're talking about like the percentages running down, and you say percent in one of them. Tell me why you did that.
Well, it is indeed silly. I'll give you that. I'll play that bit for anyone who doesn't know.
That's the boss percussion synth.
Oh, hang on, I got all the vocals muted or something.
Some backwards stuff.
Oil. Put your feet in the soil. Fill a saucepan with water and bring it to boil. You're on 90%, 80%, 70%, 60%.
Well, I mean, the first fucking ridiculous idea is doing this countdown, like, and Daniel, our drummer, who also has a young daughter, was like, because we're already doing like a little bit of it back in the verse, and he's like, man, we should just go from 90 all the way fucking down. He's like, I've been listening to heaps of kids' music, and they just stick with like some annoying idea, and you know exactly what's going to happen, but they drag it out. And he's like, let's do it. And we're all like, great idea. And then we were just giggling because 70's got more syllables than the rest, and it didn't know how to fit it in. And then we were following this real estate memes page where this auctioneer guy is like, I got another bid at 578,000. I got a bid at 580,000, like rolling his tongue on all the fucking bids, which was so bad. But we just thought it was funny, so we put it in our song.
That's hilarious. It must be
now
really...
it's really hard to sing it
I bet.
live.
I was going to say, it must be like...
A little focus moment.
Yeah.
70%.
I was going to ask you about how you, if you get nervous about doing it live now and accidentally do it on 60, everyone will be like, no.
Oh, I have messed up the countdown, I think, once. And after that, I was like, wow, I really have to concentrate like a toddler. 90. Now I do my own hand, like, numbers, so I can't mess it up, you know.
That's good. Touch the sky like Enid. Yeah. This one also has a lot of interesting mixing decisions. So can you talk me through, like, so you went down to mix the record?
Oh, sadly not on this one. Like I have,
not on this
I have
one.
sat in with Paul McKirch's, the guy who's mixed our last few records. But just because of COVID and stuff, like just traveling for that kind of stuff was not really a possibility.
But with this one, you've got a lot of panning going on. You've got a lot of like really far, like there's a lot of really interesting spatial choices in this one, which is very much like Beatlesy. Did you have to convince anyone to get that over the line, or was everyone sort of on the same page with that?
Well, we sort of we do a lot of panning and mixed style stuff when we're working on the songs in the studio. I think naturally we want to hear them sounding, you know, kind of like how they will sound when they're finished. And it's good too, like, knowing that it will get mixed. I sort of feel like, well, in our case, Paul's going to be the guy to police us, and he'll get it to, you know, the appropriate, you know, resting place. I'm just going to have fun with it. You know, let's just mess around and see what happens. So we would often, you know, pan all the drums to one side, or all the vocals to one side, or all the, you know, did a lot of, like, we've always done a lot of double tracking instead of panning, like, for Jen's vocals on this album, instead of panning left and right, often we'd layer and layer and layer the vocals, and I'd pan them all in the exact same spot.
Oh, wow.
Going for, like, wall of sound sort of thing. Anyway, we just, you know, take chances, see what we like, and then when it comes time to export everything for mixing, I'd usually decide, like, you know, how important is this panning? I return everything to the center to bounce it out for Paul, and if it's panned hard left like the drums are here, I just label it left, so he knows. All right, cool. I'll copy that, and he'll just copy it.
But just for those of you in the room who aren't familiar with mixing, it's very unusual to mix the whole drum mix to one side and the whole guitar mix to the other. So it is pretty experimental, interesting stuff. And you said you were really proud of the 3-part harmonies in this song. Can we solo those for a sec?
Of course. We sing in 3 parts, like, obviously Jen's been there singing with me since day one, and then Dean has done more and more singing as time's gone on. He used to not sing at all, and now we sing the 3 of us together all the time. And live, we probably add in more harmonies than are on the records, just because, we're having fun and who cares. But yeah, we got a nice 3-parter here, which is pretty fun. I'll just put all the vocals soloed.
Down, and man, it felt good in the soil.
That's just me and
Put
Jen.
your feet in the soil, fill a saucepan with water and bring it to boil. You're on 10%, you're on 5%, you're on 1%, and you're free. Last time they put us down, we had to slow down, and man, it felt good. The last time they put us down.
And here's Deanie.
We had to slow down.
Has a lovely falsetto voice.
It does.
And then we often do this trick too, all 3 of us singing together, just with tons of effects, like just to add space, and it's fun to sing with your friends. All just around one mic.
Great.
Yeah, it's
And can you play Jen's little scream before we finish?
Oh yeah, Jen got a little bit freaky on this. I was loving it. Yeah, where all this like Marilyn Manson whispering going.
Felt good. Felt good.
Yeah, couldn't stop it.
So good.
Oh, and then her witch scream at the end, which in context sounds like
5%, 1%, and you're free.
Oh yeah, there it is. Sorry, I cut her off too soon, but let's try again.
So good. Well, that's a really amazing note to end on because we love Jen so much and she's such a legend and has the voice of an angel. So for her to do a witch scream, the voice of a witch and the voice of an angel. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I don't know, Kelly, if we have any time left. She's going to come up and tell us.
If anyone has any questions, I might just get you to... Does anyone have any questions? Okay, 1 question, 2 questions. I might grab your mic and just go around. Thank you. We'll just take these questions. Was it you? Yes.
Beautiful work, Say and Sam. Thank you. Say, you said something at the beginning that you've made some interesting choices as a band for this album that you didn't have to. Can you talk to that?
These questions weren't meant to be for me.
No, but I want to know why you felt that, and then we can, pass it on.
I think that to me, a band like Ballpark Music can do whatever they want. They're a massive band. I feel like not the expected thing, but the thing that would be easy for them to do is to make a really classically, recorded in an expensive studio in bloody Byron Bay or something, like kick-ass standard rock album. And the fact that they produced it themselves, that they recorded it all themselves, that they did all this experimentation in terms of, all the stuff that we just saw, like doing 80 tracks of like some backward stuff and some, putting synthesizers through tape machines and all of that stuff that if you're just making a classic rock record, it's just a 5-piece band playing in a room, or you do like 20, multi-tracked or like tracked guitars or whatever. I think the fact that they did a lot of experimentation with like pitch shifting, a lot of like really cool effects. You know, they did so much stuff that they didn't really need to do, but it's so great that they did. Does that make sense? Yeah. Did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I feel like I think most of like the music making just comes from like enjoying it so much, and if anything, in my mind, I like to think the stakes are just getting higher and higher. Like you get more afraid in a way to like make another one because you don't want to make a crap record, you know. So every one you just like, you know, I guess in the back of our mind we're always like, what's something just silly we can do to push the envelope? You know, there's no idea too insane in the studio, which is probably why it's a fun place to go. Yeah.
Awesome. We just have one more question.
Thanks. Hi. I was just wondering if you could, Sam, talk to the process of going from that very like primary demo stage, like the space language, into fully fledged human language. Like, how do you know that you've found the right words behind the concept in that storytelling and lyricism?
Oh, that's definitely the most torturous and mysterious step in the journey. Yeah, this is where I feel like I want to use a Paul Kelly quote. He says, if I knew how to write a song, I'd write one every day. Yeah, I feel like, again, with the compulsion like thing with music, which I'm sure lots of people here also have that compulsion, like, yeah, you kind of just got to, I'd say every day I play my acoustic guitar or the piano for a little bit, or if I'm not doing that, I'm tapping my legs, like imagining that I'm drumming, or just like chipping away at something in the mind. Just always going, and, you know, just throwing lots and lots of stuff at the wall. And yeah, you never really know, like it's just a process of, yeah, keeping on trying and, you know, hoping that something kind of stirs you or makes you feel good, or is simply just memorable enough that you keep coming back to. And in my case, you know, I have the good fortune of being in a band, so I've got 4 other people who are now extremely close to me, and we all trust each other, so I've got a good sounding board, like, so yeah, that's, I feel like this is a lousy answer, but yeah, just hang in there.
Thank you. I thought that was a brilliant answer, and it is a beautiful way to wrap up our evening tonight by just talking about how music is life, and it's also about friendship, and creative process is everything. It's things that we do every single day. Thank you for coming, but also can we please thank Seja and Sam for this great session. I don't know about you, but I loved this session tonight. It was funny, it was really candid, it was really well structured. Thank you so much for all the work that you've put into presenting this tonight. Seja, you did a great job. Thank you so much. Can we actually have a hand for Seja? And also Sam, and for just being amazing, creating this amazing record. Thank you to you. Thank you so much to SAE for having us in this amazing space tonight. This is The Void. Thank you for coming. What I'm going to say now is we're going to wrap up, but please drink all the drinks and the foods, or eat the foods that we have. Please stick around. We've got the space until 8 o'clock. If you have questions, I'm going to say that maybe you were a bit afraid to ask in the crowd. Maybe you can find them and ask them before 8 p.m. Again, thanks so much for coming, and get home safe.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.